Is it true that we get dumber by watching too many short-form videos? Quick spoiler, yes. And the buzzword in this one is brain rot. It's not a new concept, and the Oxford Dictionary crowned it Word of the Year 2004. And let's get into this topic right away and discover why it's not the best idea to watch too many short-form videos and why our brains are not wired for this kind of input. Hello, hello, hello. You are listening to 1 Week at a Time, where we discover topics like living mindfully on your day-to-day life and unapologetically becoming your true, authentic self. I'm Vanessa, your host, and today we dive into the topic why you probably should stopping doom scrolling ASAP. Let's go in. But before we start, let's dive into last week where no episode dropped. And I was really considering hard whether I want to record an episode or no. I was like angel and devil. And I came to the conclusion that it's best to not record. A, I didn't have any topic in mind. And B, I was like, I don't know, so overwhelmed by life and all the things going on that I just didn't feel it. And I felt it would be more self-care to just let it go for a week. Let life be what life is, because there's already so much content out there in the big wide world of YouTube, podcasts, and co. And I was like, yeah, that self-care is very much needed. And I didn't want to force it and talk about something that I was not feeling in that moment. So I was just like, yeah, I'm letting it go. And I think it was all right. And with that, let's come to how I came to the topic I want to talk about today. Because honestly, I was sitting on my couch one day, just right here, and I was having my phone in my hand and I was scrolling, closing one app, jumping into another and scrolling. And in the end, I watched at my screen time at the end of the day because you know what? I didn't feel good. Even though I trained my algorithm very, very well and the content I see is genuinely actually like positive, empowering, funny, whatsoever. After these 3 hours, I felt so drained and I had something, I don't even know if this word exists, but I felt like scrolling guilt in a way that I felt like I just wasted 3 hours of my life, which I didn't want to. That's the point, for just scrolling and watching, and really nothing that stick. It was just time thrown out of the window. And after that, I was like, this can't be it. This is not how I, as an adult woman, want to spend my time. And I thought about it and I thought about what to do. And after that, I did some deep dive into the topic and watched some YouTube videos, which I will link below so you can watch them as well and really understand what's going on in our brain when we're doom scrolling and we're just not able to close our phone. So let's start with what actually happens in our brain when we have these phones, these apps. Like when I say TikTok or Reels, I mean all those short form video platforms as well, YouTube Shorts, wherever you watch your short form videos. And the interesting thing is that 90% of all internet traffic in 2004, which was last year, was from short form videos. And I don't think this number is going to be any smaller anytime soon. On average, we spend 1 hour and 16 minutes a day scrolling through short form videos. And the Gen Z, for them, it's over 70% that scroll through short form videos 3 hours a day. That doesn't mean they don't do anything else. Maybe they're watching TV, maybe they're sitting with someone, maybe they're outside in the train. But honestly, that's both. Both are really huge numbers, I think. And this big number of content doesn't go unnoticed by the brain, even though we sometimes feel it goes in there and goes out there. It's not like this. And this is where the word brain rot comes into play. Not the whole episode is about brain rot, but it's one topic that really sums up what's happening and what's going on. And actually, it's not a new construct. The word was first used in 1854 by Henry David Thoreau. And it's the result of needing to think less and less. Like with all the technology that's coming up, we don't need to use our brain in the way we had to do back then. And even back then, it was a topic already. I don't know what's going on with humanity. And it says basically that by not using it, it's rotting, not in a physical way, but in the mental capacity. And the strength of thinking sharp, of using our mind, of really using it is getting lost. And yeah, let's think about that. As humans, we are not wired to have so many social contacts because we see so many people on the screens on a daily basis, and we are not wired to see so much information in a day as well. And when we think about how our brain works, we are actually still living back in the cave, where we just had a few contacts a day, maybe our tribe, and that's it. And also the rush of dopamine we feel when we scroll, we're not used to that as well. Like it's the dopamine kick. Like if you eat chocolate all day, your brain is like, pew, pew, there's these little fireworks going on. And it is like you get to see what you want to see. When you open the app and you see funny cat videos and you watch one funny cat video after the other, you're staying in that loops. And also what happens is that we sometimes tend to spiral into a topic that we actually don't even want to go in. But since we watched one video, there's one after the other coming, always going into the same topic. Like, for example, there's some bad news happening somewhere around the world and you're like, oh, I'm interested in that. And all of a sudden you get more and more, and then you get more that's connected with that might maybe be an idea of someone or a construct or maybe a conspiracy theory or whatsoever. And we only hear this one-sided information. It's like we scroll and we don't see the whole picture any longer because it is not one whole picture, because there's so many out there that the algorithm, which is actually neutral, just gives you more of what it thinks you want to see. So the variety of topics is unnoticed by most of us because it's just not, the algorithm doesn't even think of showing it and putting up in front of your face so you can think that maybe there's a different side of the medal and to tell you a different side of the story. And that's how we humans work. We tend to stick to negative news longer than to the positive ones. That's just from an evolutionary, tricky word, point of view, because back then in the cave as well, where we're still living in our brain, back then it was important to know the bad news. Where's the tiger? Where's something going on? Which berries shouldn't we eat so that we will survive? But these days, actually, it's just we don't need all the bad information to survive in case if there's something going on in your area, in your city. That's a different topic. But in general, we can very well live without all the negativity, without looking at people yelling and screaming at each other or some weird pranks that go wrong, like all the weird stuff that sometimes is out there. But the algorithm notices that. And this is the content that's getting played more and more because, as I said, the brain sticks to it and it finds it interesting and it thinks, okay, we need to know what's going on. And all that comes with a huge side effect. Our attention span gets lower and lower. A few years back, we were still at 12 seconds at one session, at one whatever we're doing. Now we are at 8. That's 4 seconds already, and the tendencies are sinking. And if you watch social media and if you learn how to do short videos, how to script them, how to start with the right hook, with the right start, whatsoever, it's less than 3 seconds. When you see someone, maybe you're sitting in a bus and someone in front of you scrolling, or you watch your partner or yourself, how long does it sometimes take to scroll to see like not interested, not interested, not interested? It is so fast. And the thing is that it might be that it adapts in real life, that the more we are on these platforms, the more we are scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, the less are we concentrated in real life, the less do we like feel the focus to stick into the situation for longer, to really go into depth with someone, because it may be not as stimulating as it is when we get dopamine. Real life isn't that way at all. And it's good to reconnect with real life and with the real dopamine from the outside world and not just the one from your phone. That's at least my opinion. And that often leads to procrastination in real life. Like in my example, I wanted to close the app, or I want to do something sometimes, like cleaning something in the house, starting to work, whatsoever. And since there's this never ending feed, you can really scroll until your phone dies, literally. It is so hard to close these apps sometimes. I think we all know that, and we all experience that from time to time. How often do I want to say from time to time? But I think we all experience that. And it is such a weird thing that we're just so sucked into this little piece of plastic and metal. Interesting. And with that also often comes that you don't like your life as much as you actually could, because you're constantly comparing yourself to the life of another person. That doesn't necessarily have to be conscious. It can be absolutely subconscious by what you're looking at when you're noticing, oh, she has such beautiful hair. Oh, the trip looks so nice. Oh, I wish I could travel more often. Or I wish my house would look like this. These are these tiny little things that are popping up in our head from time to time, sometimes really unnoticed, that can lead to us feeling miserable. And sometimes we just don't know why. That's the feeling I actually experienced, what I said in the beginning, when I was scrolling and scrolling. And in the end, there was 3 hours of social media content I just put into my head, and it's just of no use, that I felt like, oh my goodness, this really sucked. And actually, I wanted to do this. And actually, I was looking forward to read my book. And in the end, I didn't do anything because the day was kind of over when I finished my scrolling. Wow. And that's the interesting thing, because I remember I was born in the 90s, and I remember a time where we didn't have any social media at all, where we just started using the internet at home. Like, I still come from that time where I didn't even start having a smartphone. We just had these phones where you could still type a message blindly because you just know where the buttons are and how often you have to push one. And we, as a generation, when I think of my generation, we noticed the rise of this whole social media. In the beginning, there were these cute small platforms where you just connected to, like, there was one social media, one of the first ones, where you had your profile as well, which was kind of Facebook, but Facebook was not big back then. And it was just our city and a few parts around. And we all had our profile there, and we shared our photos from when we went to the club and stuff like that. And it was really social media. Like, we connected with the people we knew. We even could put in relationship statuses back then. I remember that. And after that, shortly after that, Facebook rose. I think Facebook rose. Facebook appeared. And we all started using Facebook, and it was still a thing for the young generation. And then the point came where, like, oh, my parents are now on Facebook. That's weird. It's for the old people now. I don't know. If you're my generation, you will know that. And then it started to shift more and more to Instagram, where it was still social in the beginning. You had your friends and you followed your friends like you did on Facebook and the network we used before. And you really were connected to the people that you wanted to be connected with. And you saw what your friends did, who was traveling, like really the social part. And what I noticed, and not just me, is that social media is starting to get less social and more media. The more we scroll, the more we see this high-end produced content. And I think what I notice as well, it depends on the bubble, is that fewer people really post. It's the companies, the influencer, people that do content out there for a living in one way or another that you see on a daily basis. But when you compare it to how often your friends post something out of their life, it's super, super rare. And oftentimes, when I open the app and watch what's going on, the first thing that pops up is not the page where I follow my friends. It's the For You page. Like, we don't even open the app to see only content that we want to see via the follow button, but we see content that algorithm thinks, oh, that might be interesting. Yes, it might start with a post from a friend or someone you really want to connect with. And then it's a mix of things you could like, advertisement, then again someone that you follow, and so on and so on. It is no matter which app you're opening, TikTok, Instagram, they're all the same. And yes, I get why it is this way. In the beginning, especially in the Corona times, it was so easy to start something from scratch and to build something from scratch. You really got a huge amount of reach by relatively simple videos. And so more people noticed, okay, maybe I can make a living from that, and maybe I should try it myself, which is not a bad thing at all. This is not what I'm complaining about. I love the opportunities we have these years where it's possible for anyone to change their direction. Like I did the same. I was a geriatric nurse, and now I'm living in Spain and editing podcasts. Like it's a completely different world, and I love that, and I'm grateful for that. So I'm not judging on anyone that's out there showing themselves on what kind of app and just trying to make a living. That's not what I'm talking about. But that's what led in the long end to where we are now, that there's more and more commercialization of these social medias. It's what I said, less social, more media. And as a result of this flood of people going into these platforms, the quality is getting lower and lower. One thing is that as a creator, you have to play by the rules or you don't get any reach. Like you have to start a video, for example, with a hook that says something, that causes attention, that causes a reaction in the person watching. Like if you say being a woman is bad, I don't know, there's people that is like, why do you think that? I need to comment on that. And so it's the loop that's going on. Or if you like really have edgy, pointy things you say, it's more likely that people will watch you, that people will comment, and that your reach goes up and you grow your channel. That's how this game is played these days. And I know that people put it into perspective later, but they have to start with a black and white statement, for example. And what also is happening are these fast-paced trends. I remember I think it was the first trend that I noted was the ice bucket challenge in 2014. This was the ALS challenge where everyone put a bucket of ice over their head to raise money for this illness. And this was the first trend I think I noticed. And since then, the trends grew more and more and just got out of hand in a way. There's so many sounds and things that are, the ALS challenge was very simple as well, but that was one. And now I feel the internet is flooded with challenges that don't even have any reason to exist except for entertainment purposes. So it's not something that's bad at all. But it's kind of soulless. Like there's these dancing TikToks or there's these sounds where you make some hand movements or whatsoever, but it's the same thing. Like if you see one trend, you see it like probably if you scroll for an hour, 10 to 15 times at least again. So everyone is jumping on that train. And as I said, it doesn't have the soul anymore. I'm not saying that I don't like some trends and find them funny and participate myself. And I'm not judging, but this is what I'm happening. It's like either you learn how to script a perfect short form video so that the attention of the viewer gets in, or you jump onto trends or do whatever. And I feel that I'm getting to talk really now. And I feel like sometimes it's when I scroll for an hour, no matter how positive my algorithm is, in the end, I don't take much out of this app, no matter how much time I spend in there. And what I notice is, as I said, like it's getting more media, that it feels like it's becoming kind of more like the junk mail right now. That's just how I see the trend is going, and that you in your inbox, you can at least unsubscribe. But the algorithm is so on point and so hyper personalized that it shows you exactly what you like, and it works. So I think I'm done with my little rant. But sometimes it's just, as I said, these 3 hours made something in me that I thought like, this can't be it. This just can't be it for the time we live in. And That's why I thought about what could be some solutions. And I'm not saying delete the app and never open it again. I think it's absolutely fair to use them. It is fun to use them. It is fun to post in them. And you're still staying connected to the people you want to connect. Low key, but you stay connected. And the buzzword for me in this whole context became consciousness. Conscious consumption of the things you really want to see. What I did, the first thing on that evening last Saturday, when I noticed this got out of hand, is I put a limit. These apps, if you go into the settings, give you the option to put a maximum amount of time that you want to spend in the apps. And then it goes blank. Yes, if you reach that limit, you can still say, yeah, I don't care today, or give me 5 more minutes. But at least you have something over the screen that stops this automatism of your hand and your brain to just continue. And for me, that really helped. You might try a social media detox. I personally have never done that. Sometimes I don't open the apps for 1, 2, 3 days because I don't miss on anything. Well, maximum 1 to 2 days, to be really honest here. But I never did this whole detox thing because I like these things and I use them for work as well. So it's not completely possible to get them out of my life completely, but you can try it. You just have to see. Some people say it was super good and it felt well, and they use their phone and social media in general, or short form videos in general, less. And some say, yeah, it was kind of a yo-yo effect, that I missed them, or I thought I didn't miss them. And then I opened the app and I just went doom scrolling all again. It's like, you have to figure out which one is it for you. And one thing I had in mind is, I don't know how it was in your country, but I know in Germany back then we had this funny clips TV shows where there was like some skiing accidents, some funny animal videos, stuff like that. And usually we watched them not alone in front of our TV, but we watched them with the whole family or with a few friends. And we were sitting and laughing together because it was just a bunch that was put together in a TV show that had a start and a finish. And after that, there was advertisement, and either you watched what came afterwards or you just shut down the TV. And it was so fun. And it was the limit of an hour or so that you really dive into that. There were, as I said, these clips. Then I remember there was one show that put out the best advertisements from all around the world. And there's really some hilarious ones out there that I still, until these days, have in my mind. But the good thing is that it was really just a limited amount of time. And this is what you can do with these timers. You can do it in these apps, or you can do it manually, like put a timer in your phone or whatsoever, and just enjoy it for this frame of time, this limited amount of time. And in that time, it's absolutely okay to scroll and chill and laugh and giggle, or sometimes feel like, what the F is going on in the world? It's not a bad thing if you had a long day, or if you feel like, no, I just need these 10, 20 minutes for myself. Give them to you. It's not a bad thing. You earned this. You deserve this, but just don't let it get out of hand. And another interesting thing is, I sometimes do that, especially when I work, that I don't reach to my phone too often, is that you can put your phone on black and white modus. I can do that on the iPhone if I push the home button. I think it's the home button 3 times very fast. I don't know if you have a different model or whatsoever, how it works there, but I guess if you Google it or ask your ChatGPT or whatsoever, they will tell you how you can do that. And I tell you, the phone is really not that interesting when everything is black and white, you see. Sometimes I have it open when I use WhatsApp or whatsoever, so I just don't get distracted. And even if the automatism kicks in and I just click on Instagram to see what my friends are sharing in their stories, it's like, oh yeah, it's still black and white, and I close it and remember why I actually took my phone into hand. And an interesting thing to ask yourself is to really look into which kind of push notifications do you really need. If you, for example, post some pictures from your weekend where you went to a wedding or when you went on vacation, do you really need to have a push notification for everyone that gave you a like on this post? Do you really need a push notifications for your comments, or if someone posted something? If you say, yes, I do, because do it. It's your free will. It's your phone. But sometimes it's just these auto settings that are put on by the phones, not by the phones, by the apps, and that we just never change because, yeah, it is what they come with and it doesn't really matter. But every time they pull you in with these attention pop-ups like, hello, someone liked your post, and you get this dopamine again, even though you're not even using the app. And dopamine is not a bad thing, but how do we get it? And is this distraction helpful in that moment? Like when we're focusing on something and something grabs our attention besides what we're working on, we really need a few minutes to get back to the level of concentration that we just had. With that in mind, maybe push notifications aren't the best idea. And one really, really big thing I think most of us are guilty of is taking the phone into bed. I honestly, personally stopped that quite a while ago because I noticed it doesn't help me and I just don't like it close by. At the moment I have it close by, but with the lock screen so nothing comes through when I go into the bedroom. So it's just the device that has my alarm on it. And opening these apps in the evening can lead to like, oh, it's cozy and you're just forgetting what you're doing actually. And maybe just try it out to change it with a book. For me, every evening, usually I tend to lie in bed and read like 20, 30 minutes of a book, a fiction book, something that's not getting me into thinking about my life, what I want to do, what I want to achieve, what I have to do, comparing with someone, whatever. I just want to unwind and just dive into some fantasy story with dragons or whatsoever and just forget about real life and slow down and get my mind really to slow down. And with the phones, even though you might put the blue light filter in it, it's still this blue light that comes into our face and our body thinks it's daytime. The melatonin production slows down and you're not feeling tired because this blue light is getting in your face like, hello, be awake. It's time. It's not time to sleep. And this is actually what it's doing. This is why sleeping in front of the TV, even though if you're having your eyes closed, is not a good idea as well. It's the same mechanism happening that the body thinks with this blue light. And you can see it when someone has a screen on and you pass by on the street, it's this blue light. No matter what the TV shows, you always see it flickering in a blue way. And this really does not help sleeping at all. And another thing to do, which I started doing again, is doing something else. I'm not saying clean your kitchen or your bathroom, but for me is, okay, I want some entertainment and I don't want to actively do something. What I do now is I open YouTube. And the thing is, my YouTube is a mix of infotainment, I would say, where it's like videos like the one I'm filming for you right now, this podcast, where it's like information, but you're entertained and you don't have to do something, but you're still learning something. And usually it's all the videos I watch come together in this category in one way or another. There's some pop culture stuff in there. There's some psychology stuff in there. There's something about health. Like it's a wild potpourri of stuff in there. But actually, it's what I crave. It's actually what I open TikTok or Instagram sometimes for, to get these nuggets. And in that moment when I open YouTube, where I have a watch list of, I think, around 2,000 plus videos, not kidding, that I will probably never watch in my whole life. But if I open the app, I always have content that I know I want to watch and I don't have to search for something because it's already there and I can choose from my watch list if I just pick the first video that's in line, or if I say, the video I saved there yesterday, that would just be perfect for me. And one thing I do is when I'm in these apps, I really constantly ask myself, do I want to spend time with this person? Even though it's not real life, it's still real life. Like it is your time, your lifetime, this precious lifetime. We just have this uncertain amount of lifetime that we are spending watching into devices. And if I do that, I feel like I want it to be worth it. Would I spend time with this topic or with this person if it would be in person, if he or she would be sitting next to me. If I am in a room and someone would bring up this topic, this conversation, would I go there, or would I say, no, thanks, pass, I will go the other way? And this is how I go through my social media these days and really take a look at myself, like, how do I feel? What does this do to me? Do I feel better or worse afterwards? And then I decide to follow or unfollow. And one hack I just found out, it's not true, I use it for a while, is if you click on the Insta symbol, if you open your Instagram app and on the upper left corner, there's the Insta symbol. If you click on it, you change your view. When you open the app, you usually see the algorithm feed, like what it thinks that you might be interested in. But if you switch on that symbol, you can see the feed in the way the people you follow posted. So let's say you follow 5 persons. If you open the app, normally you would scroll and scroll and scroll, and maybe you would see some posts of these 5 persons. But if you tap on this Instagram symbol, you see only what these 5 persons posted and posted and posted. Sometimes there is an advertisement in between, but in general, it's just that. And I tend to use this more because I want to see what these people do that I follow, because I follow them for a reason. Either I would like to be inspired by them, they are my friends, or I want to see what's going on in their lives or learn from them. That's usually the reasons I personally follow someone. And with the usual feed, it's just getting lost. The same on TikTok. If you scroll over, you can see the person or the feed. I think it's not like in the time frame they do it, but at least you see only the persons you follow, and it's not giving you more and more and more of this addictive loop. And if you feel a little extra, you can just delete the apps. I'm not at that point, but I have some friends that I think never had any kind of social media. And when I talk to them, actually, we don't miss out on any topics because they're not on the same app as I am. And they seem happy with their decisions. And sometimes I think, like, good for you. And if you feel like doing that, you can still share. I think we all use WhatsApp. You can still share in your status with your friends and family. You can pick with whom you want to share your stuff with. And you can still do that in a way, like sharing when you're on vacation, what you're experiencing, or watching what friends on WhatsApp are sharing. Like, there's some friends where I see what they're doing and they're not on Instagram, but they share that on WhatsApp. And I see, like, oh, this friend is really having a good time and I'm happy for them without this whole scroll, scroll, scroll. Oh, I noticed from my friend, scroll, scroll, scroll. Oh, this is what someone I know is doing thing. Okay, let's come to the conclusion. I personally, just me, I think it's not a bad thing. I love social media and I like social media and I like the idea that it connects people. But it unfortunately didn't come with a manual, and it changes so fast that it's sometimes so tricky to really keep up, to really see what's going on, to really see how could you use it the way you actually would want it. And it's more addictive for one person than another. So we all have to be honest with ourselves and ask ourselves, okay, is this serving me or am I serving it? And with that, I'm torn, because as a private person, I could just put it aside for some time or just really follow a bunch of people or a handful of people, and I don't need to see much, but I need it work-wise as well. So there's these two sides in me that are like constantly arguing in a way that it's really hard to see or to figure out where I really stand on this, because as I said, I like some trends and I have some fun on it. On the other hand, it's like, yeah, would I miss it if it would be shut down tomorrow? And that's where I'm not so sure about it. But what I think is, I don't want to be a slave to my phone. My phone is there to serve me, not the other way around, as I said. And I'm trying to, figure this out more and more as a mid-30-year-old person. Great, but we all struggle one way or another, and I try to give you some transparency on where I stand, and that not everything's always as simple and as easy as it seems, and that sometimes we need restrictions, that sometimes we need to make boundaries and conscious decisions to really feel good about how we handle this. So yeah, with that, let me know. How about you? Do you feel that it's overwhelming, that it's sucking you in from time to time, or do you have it completely under control? Or are you one of those people that doesn't have social media at all? And yeah, just let me know, how does that work for you? How is this going for you? I'm super interested because I've read some comments of those people that just don't miss anything about it. And I like that. I like the idea as well. But I would love to hear about how you handle things, how you make sure that things don't get out of hand and that you're not being sucked in and glued to the screen. So yeah, with that, thank you so, so, so much for sharing your time with me. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel, to this podcast, to really don't miss any upcoming episodes. And please share this episode with someone that's glued to the phone, a little too much maybe for your taste as well. And yeah, share what it does to the brain and why it's maybe not the best idea to do that. And yeah, share the tips with what to do instead and how to help themselves. With that, I say bye, 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 bye. I wish you a beautiful week ahead. Mwah.